this special program. You're watching NDTV Profit, where what we're attempting to do is break down the events in the letter of today, what it means for the Tata Group, what it means for stocks of the Tata companies, and what it means for corporate India. Neeraj, what a sequence of events.
Yes, indeed. And from a gentleman who, Tamanna, nobody can argue otherwise, turned the principal group, corporate group of the country, Tata Group, from a heritage structure into a future-ready powerhouse, if you will, right? Revenues double, profits treble. I mean, those are numbers, but just what he brought to the Tata stable, being the first non-family, non-Parsi person to be at the helm. I mean, there will be stories about it written for years come together.
Yeah. So, a 40-year career, clearly, and the contribution cannot be denied. But the fact also is, I would say, Neeraj, in the last couple of years, a lot of the data that you're talking about was looked at, right? Air India. What has happened with Air India? The losses, did it turn around the way that it was supposed to be? TCS, was it at the forefront of AI like it should have been or could have been? Not that I'm putting it all on one person's door, but those were some of the conversations that were beginning to happen. I think what's also important to understand right now is the sequence of events that has led to today's statement. In case you're just tuning in, here's what's happened first up. A statement was issued by N. Chandrasekaran, the sitting chairman of Tata Sons, earlier today, where he spoke about his decision that he would not offer himself up for reappointment in February 2027. And that actually becomes crucial. In that statement, if you look at it, and again, Neeraj, not to take away at all from the legacy that you talked about, he is referring to the events of February this year, when after, say, 3 layers of agreement on his extension, there was a hiccup at one meeting.
Yeah, I mean, and it had to be, Tamanna, one can argue it had to be something like this which would bring about a decision like this. Otherwise, in some sense, glittering career, because while all of this has happened, right, which is the question marks around TCS growth and a few others in Air India, there is also newer pathways that these guys have gone into. So it had to be an event like this, right? Semiconductor gigafactories, etc. It had to be an event of this nature for the resignation to come, or the stepping down to happen.
Yeah, I'm just going to take a second to take you through what the key portion is of that entire letter, and you're going to be constantly seeing it on your screens. But before we get our lineup of people who really understand the Tata Group to speak on it, here is the key portion where he says, my current tenure as the chairman of Tata Sons comes to an end on February 20th, 2027. Sir Dorabji Tata Trust, Sir Ratan Tata Trust had unanimously resolved and recommended the extension of my next term for a period of 5 years, which was recorded and recommended by the Tata Sons Nomination and Remuneration Committee. Subsequently, the resolution was tabled in the Tata Sons board on Feb 24, 2026. However, the proposal was not carried through because one of the board members did not support it, and in the absence of unanimous support, I chose to defer the decision. It has been 6 months since that board meeting. No resolution has been reached till date. Tata Sons is very large, and there are many strategic projects under critical stages. It's not only necessary to have a leader in place to lead the group beyond Feb 2027, but also clarity on leadership is important for employees, investors, partners, and other stakeholders. So that really was the crux of it. Instead of waiting for a decision on August 18th when their next AGM is, Chandra said, you know, let's end the debate here. Yeah,
I mean, it's an interesting decision, a bold one at that. For both sides now, it'll be interesting to see what happens here on, Tamanna. One, Tata Group under whoever the new leader is, and of course, one of the storied leaders of India Inc., what happens in N. Chandra's tenure, or rather, a path going ahead. I think both become very important stories.
No taking away from, you know, the power force that N. Chandra has been and continues to be. Nimit Dixit joins us live from Bombay House. We're covering the story from all angles. And Nimit, what are you picking up at Bombay House this morning?
So So it's been a quiet morning so far, Tamanna, here at Bombay House. There's regular board meetings going on. There's a Tata AIG board meeting that just concluded a while ago. The board members have just left, but no sign of the Tata Trust board yet moving in or out. We can confirm that no one's moved in or out yet. But just to speak a little bit about, I think you've already explained it, but the reasons behind why he's stepping down is because of the lack of a unanimous support for extension of his term. The board meeting, of course, the board resolution has been pending for over 6 months, and he says very clearly that one board member did not support it, and you know, he recognizes the fact that there is a need for transition and a smooth and quick transition, and that's why he's sort of decided to not extend his term beyond the February 20th date, 2027.
Well, Nimit, I'm going to come back to you. I just want to quickly go to Mukund Rajan. Now, Mukund Rajan is author of The Brand Custodian, My Years with the Tatas. It's a 2019 book that he wrote, but he is the brand custodian of the Tata Group. And I think very few people would know what the story of the group and the ethos of group is like, Mukund. Mukund, I believe that you've stopped your car to speak with us. You're on your way to the mountains. Thank you for that. Really appreciate it.
Most welcome.
Yeah, let me just start by just getting your sense of the sequence of events and the way it has played out.
Well, I have to say I was a little surprised at the speed with which some of these events have taken place in the past few weeks. I think the date that was fixed for the AGM of Tata Sons seems to have been the precipitating factor. And I have to say I was sort of caught completely off guard. I just landed at an airport this morning, and I saw the news about Chandrasekaran putting in his resignation. So it's come as quite a surprise. I'm not sure that the group also has been entirely prepared for it. And that's, I think, a little unfortunate. And therefore, there is a lot of, I think, expectations the Tata Sons board now and the major shareholder, the Tata Trust, will quickly respond to expectations in the markets and from stakeholders about what they're planning to do on this resignation.
Mukund, thanks from mine as well for joining in. What do you reckon is the way ahead now? Because there is a vacuum here, and maybe the vacuum was always there for a while, which prompted Chandra to give the statement that he has. But what's the next port of call according to you?
So first, I think the Tata Sons board has to, I would imagine, formally accept the resignation. There is theoretically the possibility that they may prevail on Chandra to withdraw his resignation, or they may sort of ask him to continue for some time. He himself has offered to stay in his post till the date that he would normally have stepped down in February of next year at the end of his contracted period. So that clarity has to emerge. What is the board doing on this matter? It's not just up to Chandra alone. The board also has to be responsive. And then, of course, the role of the major shareholders, in this case, the Tata Trust, who are 2/3 owners of Tata Sons, they have to also express publicly their point of view on what has happened. I would have hoped that this whole exit would have been done in a fashion that was perhaps with more grace on all sides and not left to sort of speculation of the kind we are now probably going to indulge in for a little while on what happens next. I think markets hate uncertainty, and therefore it's very important for the board to also announce how they plan to undertake the succession plan for Chandrasekaran. So I think we're all going to wait with bated breath for some of those developments and formal statements from the board of Tata Sons and the Tata Trusts.
Mukund, just trying to get a sense, because you really understand the inner workings of the group. And like you said, this would have perhaps come as a surprise to many in the board as well. Would a succession plan have already been in place, considering that Chandra would have turned 65 in 2028?
It ought to have been. Any sensible board, particularly vested with the responsibility to manage such a large enterprise, should have been thinking about this for the past at least, I think, a year or more. And I would imagine there are already some possibilities that are on the minds of some of the board members, including, I would imagine, the Tata Trust, There's been certainly some commentary around structures that were being debated between the Tata Sons chairman and the Tata Trust. So I'm sure there would have been names assigned to people who could play a role in taking the fortunes of the group forward. So I don't think they will be wanting for identifying a successor fairly soonish, and there may already be candidates that are high on the list of prospects. And certainly, I don't think Tatas will have a challenge in attracting the finest talent. So I don't think that's going to be an issue either. But they need to announce the way they're going to go about this. Are they going to create a committee? Is that committee going to have a timeline? Or are they already clear and have a potential candidate in waiting, perhaps somebody from within the group already, perhaps one of the managing directors? They need to, I think, explain that quite swiftly. And as I said, the markets hate uncertainty, and the basis on which Chandra has announced his departure, I think it'll be awkward for there to be a long period of time or a hiatus before the group has announced a successor. So I think it's in everyone's interest that there be firm clarity on how quickly this is going to happen.
Mukund, thank you so much for taking the time out and being with us. Really appreciate your time this afternoon.
Most
All right, let's welcome in our guests, other guests on the show as well, simply because, remember, this is a combined market cap of the Tata Group, nearly 24 to 25 lakh crores. And I think a vacuum of this nature, if at all, unnerves the street, then it better be put to rest very, very soon. Let's get in our other experts on the show. We've already spoken to Mukund Rajan. Now, we welcome in Abhizer Devanji. He joins in on the show, as well as Mohit Saraf. Gentlemen, both of you, thank you so much for taking the time out and being with us. Really appreciate your time. Abhizer, I'd like to start with you on that premise itself. Markets don't like uncertainty, especially at the helm of one of the premier business groups in the country, large market cap as well. During his tenure, profits have doubled, or rather revenues have doubled, profits have trebled. You reckon it'll be smooth sailing after a couple of days of uncertainty if indeed the board moves swiftly, either to assuage the street by saying that Chandra might stay on till the end of his tenure, or to name a successor so that there is clarity?
So for sure, I think we heard Mukul also. I think the Tata Trusts and the board of Tata Sons would certainly be looking out very actively and may already have a short list of candidates that they may be considering, given that their decision on Chandra's extension was deferred since the last board meeting and has been 6 months since. So I'm sure there has been a lot of deliberation. If not, very frankly, we have a headroom till FY27 February. And I'm sure the pipeline will be easily built up in terms of whoever needs to come in. So I don't think succession will be too much of an issue. It'll have to be planned well. There'll be enough talent within the Tatas and outside who would be more than keen to take up an opportunity like this. Now, frankly, kudos to Chandra for the platform he's built. He's built an excellent platform. There have been some failures, but there have been a lot more visionary thinking in terms of where the investments need to go through. And the market cap has held up, as you rightly said, the combined market cap of 25 or lakh crores has grown significantly. So I think the platform is set for getting a good person. Now, for the Tata Group, when the helm changes, so when Ratan Tata came into power from JRD, we remember those days, there was obviously a lot of uncertainty in the markets. The same uncertainty remains today, where there's a turmoil. Whenever there has been a change at the helm of the Tatas, there's been turmoil. I remember at that time, though Ratan Tata was the chairman of Tata Sons, there were individual CEOs who were fiefdoms into themselves. And now we have got to deal with the Tata Sons issue. So ideally, I think the group has had a lot of empowerment to its CEOs. Those CEOs in those empowerments have performed extremely well. And whenever those empowerments change, the level of uncertainty will be there. But I'm sure that the system will make sure that there is an answer to it.
Okay. So, what we're trying to do is we're trying to make sense of what's happened, and we have a fantastic lineup of speakers. Abhizer, of course, Mukund Rajan, Mohit Saraf, all of them weighing in. Mohit, if I can come to you, on the manner in which this has played out. This could have happened on August 18th. It could have happened closer to February 2027. a point is being made here with this letter, which has been made public, that I'm choosing to step down or I'm choosing not to offer myself up for reappointment, so that the decision is now taken by me. Is that the message? What is the message we're getting here?
I think, Tamanna, the way you should look at it is Chandra has already made his intention clear that he did not wanted a reappointment. At least that part is there, that he's not wanting it. That's number one. Number two, the process of election of the chairman of Tata Son is that every nominee, one third of the directors get nominated on Tata Sons by the trust, and each nominee director has to agree. And what we understand in his letter, that one of the nominee director did not agree to his reappointment. And we've also read in the press that there were two conditions for his reappointment, that the Tata Sons continue to be unlisted and there should be a liquidity event for Shapoorji Group. So I don't know what has played out, but I think what is clear is one thing was very clear, that Chandra was not looking for reappointment and his term would have ended in February next year. Clearly, I would say that there must be a notice period. Typically, for the senior level people, there would be a 6 to 9 months notice period. And right now, we are closer to that period. So he probably have resigned. That doesn't mean that he disappears tomorrow itself. It's not like probably giving notice as per the terms of his employment letter, which would be 6 to 9 months. So I would say we should not read too much into it. Yes, markets do not appreciate uncertainty, but most companies of Tata Group are governed by the boards of those companies, and they have pretty much a large public shareholding as such. It does bring a lot of level of Chandra's quality direction, which he was giving to the entire group of companies. So obviously, to that extent, there is a little bit of a challenge, but it could be just a temporary issue. Maybe that issue has come out in light of the AGM, which was scheduled a few days later from here. I don't know the internal issue, but again, right now we just got this appointment letter out, and we have to give some time to Tata Sons and Tata Trust to explain their position.
Right. So I take your point, Mohit, but is this really something which is not such a big deal as you put it? The sense I'm getting from what you said, and correct me if I'm wrong, is you're saying this is not such a big issue, nothing to see here, let's move along. Of course, in the storied history of the Tata Group, maybe not, but as of here now today, looking at Chandra's massive contributions to the group and in the manner which this has played out, surely it leads to some debate and discussion.
Oh, surely. I think it leads to debate and discussion. But I would say the same debate and discussion would have come when he said, which everybody believed, that Chandra will continue for a long time, when he said that he does not want to continue beyond February. So I would say right now, once the person has made his stand clear that he does not want to continue beyond February, and then he feels resigning as per the terms of his employment letter, that could just be a standard thing. I think the what could be a little concerning would be that the public disclosure of that letter. Clearly, I think we are not, none of us are belittling the contribution, Chandra's contribution to the entire group, I think. But clearly, there is a negative vote of one of the trustee director on Tata Son, and then he cannot be appointed. There could be some play there, which we obviously don't understand. And we can understand that there could be some play. And he had also in his letter said that he was unanimously selected by the True
Yeah.
Trust. But having said that, there was also a negative vote. So there could be internal issues as well. But again, I would not read too much, because he had already said that I'm not wanting to continue beyond February. He had already said that.
Yeah.
And 9 months for that. And maybe this could be a process to make sure that the successor is seriously looked at.
Okay. Well, August 18 becomes an important AGM outcome as well, if you will. I mean, at least everybody will be looking at it ahead with quite a bit of interest, maybe more than usual. Besides, just stay on. We'll come to you because Rahul Bhasin also joins in on this conversation. He's founder and managing partner at Bearing Private Equity. Rahul, great having you. Thanks for joining in. As somebody who's looked at corporate India, fortunes of companies and leaders making those, how do you see this particular episode impacting or not impacting the near term for the Tata Group? In the long term, we know they'll attract talent, things might return back to usual, all of that. But in the near term, while there is a bit of a vacuum, lack of clarity, is it too short a time frame to bother about, or you think otherwise?
Look, I'm 100% sure that, the way the Tata Group culture is, and Mr. Chandrasekaran has been a Tata veteran for 40 years. He will not do anything to disrupt anything, and if whatever is required, I'm sure he will facilitate any transition that is required. So I don't think that there is any, impending crisis in that sort of sense. And I think the key issues, which has probably led to this tension, I think those still need to be dealt with. And, whatever the transition sort of system which is articulated or is delineated for the board and the group, I think the issues are, plain for everyone to see. I think there's a minority shareholder in the Tata Sons ecosystem who I think has financial challenges of their own, and I think they're looking for some kind of liquidity. Whereas I think the Tata Group's stance has always been that they don't want to let Tata Sons go public, and I think there's a bit of conflict which requires leadership and resolution there. I also think that as a group, the Tata Group has been sort of trying to transition into the new ecosystem in the new world. And they've taken several bets. Now, when you take several large bets, some work, some don't. Clearly, the Tata Electronics bet seems to be playing out well. But if you look at the airline bet, where they've, I think, expended almost 55,000 crores since 2022, I think that requires dealing with and sort of addressing as an issue. And I think the other thing is that Tata Neo, where again, I think the group has lost almost 20,000 crores in the last 4 or 5 years. And I think that if you look at the number of bets, the size of the balance sheet, and the fact that their cash cow of the group, which is TCS, has its own set of challenges, I think probably it's because of the total size of the bets relative to the size of the group. I think this kind of friction has cropped up. And I think that when you're starting a new business and you're bleeding money, I think it's imperative for whoever the leader is to carry the different board members and stakeholders along. And I think that probably because of the transition of, the stakeholders from the Ratan Tata sort of regime and to now the Noel Tata regime, I think there's probably things which have fallen between the cracks here.
I think that's as clearly and well put as one could have. Rahul, completely agree with you there. Just want to get a quick view from Abizar on some of the points that Rahul Bhasin has just made. And again, we've said this from the start, there's no point speculating about what could have gone wrong, etc. Part of it also is how it's happened and then what next. How imperative is it now to ensure that a plan is in place and this is communicated very quickly to all stakeholders?
Extremely. As you said earlier in the show too, nobody likes uncertainty. And I'm sure even the institutional investors who are big investors in Tata's today would not like that uncertainty. I guess the plans are in place at the operating company levels.
Yeah.
As Rahul also mentioned, the key issues are how do they deal with this larger issue of this minority shareholder getting a liquidity issue? That's going to be extremely important to deal with, apart from the operating company issues that are there. Operating company issues, I think, are well governed by good CEOs. I'm sure each of them has a good plan. So that is not what is maybe required. But at the group level, the coordination, to list or not to list, to provide an exit to the minority shareholders, to make sure that the Tata Trust's turmoil ends, so that there is clarity as to how this company is going to be run and how the stewardship of Tata Sons will run. I think those are the big issues which I think Chandra was able to manage well given his legacy. Now, whoever comes in will have to manage it well. The other issue, of course, is Noel Tata, as I said earlier, whenever there's been a shift in the Tata's leadership at the family level, there's always caused turmoil. So those turmoils we have to make sure that they're all controlled. I'm sure there are very other people who may be more ambitious at the group at the operating company levels who may have aspirations at the group level. There could be good candidates outside. So I think the whole transition will have to be communicated very quickly so that the market knows who's in charge.
Rahul Bhasin, just coming to that point about the market knowing who's in charge, if you look at it from the perspective of the storied history of the Tata Group, at that point, N. Chandra becoming the Tata Sons chairman was also an outlier, right? The first non-Parsi, non-family member, so to speak. So has that also set sort of a precedent of what could come next?
You know, like I said, because of the very extreme sets of challenges which are there in the group, and I think that these are very normal when you take big bets and you start new businesses. I mean, there's a portfolio outcome, right? Some will work, some won't. But which ones to double down on and which ones not to, I would suspect would be very tough for any newcomer to do. It has to be an insider, as my own surmise. And I think that maybe whether it's Mr. Noel Tata himself or clearly somebody else who's a insider and familiar with a lot of the pluses and minuses and the risks and opportunities of each of these big bets and big challenges. I think it'll have to be someone like that or a group of people of that nature who you know steady the ship in this period of time. I think that, and like I said earlier, I think that, Chandra being a long-term veteran, he may well himself be a part of the transition team. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case.
Yeah. Okay, I think we're out of time, but very quick roundup and maybe just very quick answers. Mohit Saraf, starting with you. Do you reckon some of the bets that have been taken in the recent past might see a change under the new helm because some of these haven't paid off? Very quickly, 30 seconds, please.
And anybody can agree yes or no. It's something I not have a comment on.
Well, actually, that's a fair point too. Anybody can say a yes or no, and we don't know how it shapes up. So yeah, that's a nice quip to my answer. But I would still want to know because I think Abhizar was making this point, and in fact Rahul was making this point to which Abhizar responded that some of the recent bets haven't quite paid off. Maybe the focus areas change. Maybe not all stakeholders were taken on board alongside when some of these businesses are bleeding. So that was the genesis of my question. Abhizar, you want to respond to that?
Also, there are some obvious quick fixes, as I said, the airline industry and making sure that TCS innovates. I think will have to be taken on the forefront. And other businesses, I think they're well invested, in my opinion. Semiconductors, electronics are well invested. That'll be good.
I'm going to make the question a little more complex for Rahul Bhasin. Neeraj asked, will they be re-looked at? I'm going to ask you, should they be re-looked at?
To my mind, I think there is a budgeting issue because if you have to invest in all of these businesses and deal with the minority shareholder sort of issue, I think that you'll require more capital. So either one or at least one of these has to be sacrificed or more capital has to be raised. And I think that's the call that whoever takes charge will have to make. I mean, either, and the Tata Group has enough credibility if they want to raise more resources, they can. So that's really the choice. I mean, do you say that no, one of these bets was wrong and say, let's get out of this and call it? Or do you say that no, all of these are in transition, they're in the investment phase, they will all work out? Then I think the issue is that, where in the group do I raise capital and how much? And I think so. It's a very solvable problem, but someone needs to deal with it.
Okay, that is the billion-dollar question. Who, when, and how? Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us on the show as we try and decode what has happened, what it means, and what happens next. Simply because, Neeraj, look at the impact of the Tata Group. And sometimes we look at things only from the lens of shareholders and people who have equity participation. But even in terms of contribution to the economy, It's massive. What happens there is important.
Most certainly, Tamanna. And just, that one point, I tried to figure out if there was any previous record public of him having stated that he doesn't want to continue. There isn't. So
yes, which Mohit Saraf kept talking about.
Yeah,
but no, there isn't. This has happened today.
Yeah, so it is a surprise, and which is what explains why TCS is down 5 and some of the others are down. Hopefully, August 18 gives us some answers, or maybe before that. Let's wait and watch.
Right, that's all the time we have, but all the news and action continues on the other side. Stay with NDTV Profit.